Okay, Richard, so I've always wondered, I hear the term CBT and counselling, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, but what's the difference between CBT and counselling? What is the difference?
First of all, what is CBT? Cognitive behaviour therapy. So it's working with what are called cognitions, which is a fancy word for saying thoughts. So anything to do with thoughts, your beliefs. It could also be values. Well, I think that should, or the examples are, I'm always bad. I'm always bad at job interviews. Or when I take an exam, I always fail. Or I'm not very popular.
These sound like negative automatic thoughts.
Yeah, negative automatic thoughts.
Yeah, naps.
Do people call it naps?
I've heard of that before. Okay, yeah.
So those are what fancy word cognitions. Okay, and then there's the behaviour. What do we actually do? Well, we might not apply for that job that we could actually do, or we avoid some social situation because we think, well, I'm not very popular. And I can't stand it when people don't come up and talk to me. And so the therapy looks at those things kind of head on and says, well, how can we address that? And it uses CBT therapist would suggest to the client or negotiate with the client how to behave differently and how to think differently. So the idea is you change the thought to change the feeling and then change the behaviour.
Right.
So it's kind of very much looking at, in my view, kind of the surface stuff, the thoughts that we have, the conscious stuff. Now, can you
give me an example? So like, how would you go about changing the thought?
Typically, if supposing you said to me, Richard, I'm not very popular. I might say, well, where's the evidence for that? If suppose you say, well, whenever I go to a party, no one wants to talk to me. And I say, well, why is that? And you say, well, they obviously don't find me attractive or they don't like me. And I say, well, where's the evidence? Or you say, well, they're not talking to me. And I said, well, but what are you doing? Do you approach them? No, I don't. And if I was a counsellor, I'd say, well, let's look at that, because it's a feeling that's stopping you from doing it. But I then, as a CBT therapist, might ask you to keep a diary of events during the week. When does this crop up again? When does it happen again? And we'll dissect each event and go, well, perhaps you could have thought differently about it. Now, I'm not trained in CBT. It's never been something I've been that attracted to, because it doesn't sort of grab me.
Right.
So I do the other thing. When I say the other thing, it's a bit like Windows and Apple.
Oh yeah.
I do what I would call explorative work, to explore. And what do we explore? When I say we explore who the person is, well, every person has been on this planet for the whole of their life, plus 9 months in the womb. And I'm interested to think about what went on in all of that time. So we have, for example, we have the very early time that someone was alive, after birth. Well, we don't usually remember visually, mentally, what it was like to be a baby. We start to have memories from about, say, 3 years old, 4 years old. Often vague memories. But it's very, very useful to explore where people come from, what their family was like, to explore what went on for them later on in life as they became teenagers, adolescents, and then young adults, and to explore what, not just their outer world, but their inner world, because we have something called an inner world. I mean, the outer world is literally what you can see and touch. You know, and you can see someone going to work, doing a job, or I don't know, someone who's addicted to shopping. That's their outer world. You can see what's happening. Our inner world is what goes on inside us that fuels our behaviour, that propels us to do certain things. So that's explored in counselling or psychotherapy.